Hi, everybody. I'm Swiatecki. Really excited to be here. This is, believe it or not, only my second WLPC. Attended my first one earlier this year in Arizona. And Keith was standing there and saying, so how do you get on stage? Well, if you have something worth sharing, submit a talk. And I did, and here I am. So first of all, thanks to everybody who put your vote in. It means a lot. I do believe I have a lot of exciting stuff. I work for Cisco. My day job is a product manager, so that means I get to spend all my time on building APs, APs, and APs. Wonderful job. That's me. Feel free to reach out, contact with me. Some of you know that I may respond at erratic times. Sometimes I don't, but hey, give it a shot. I'll try to stay over here. Anyways, so what are we going to be covering today? Well, what I thought was, not what do I want to talk about, but what would I want to hear if I sat out there? Because I watched the YouTube videos, and I was like, okay, probably I would like to know what's up with Wi-Fi 7. But like, what are the things I need to know right now that I can go test myself and learn? So A, I seem smart when I come home, right? But B, also so that you kind of have an entry point into start playing with Wi-Fi 7. Because there's a lot of stuff out there, there's a lot of information, but let's be honest, a lot of it is also a few years old. Like, yes, 320 megahertz. Yay. Well, let's go a level deeper. So these are kind of the main areas I'm going to be covering. And yes, I have PCAPs. So when I also submitted this talk, I was like, of course, no talk without a Gen AI photo here. I work for a vendor. How can I go talk and not violate any NDAs? Because, of course, we know not a lot of things pre-release, right? Chipsets, OS, all of that. But in reality, this is actually what happened. This is me last weekend. The new Wi-Fi 7 book, which is amazing. I can definitely recommend it. Few cold monsters and just a weekend of PCAPing. Because right now we're at a stage where everything you need is out there. Windows, Intel drivers, all that good stuff is available. So there should be nothing holding you back from going deep into Wi-Fi 7 now, at home in your labs. So this is basically how the talk happened. Okay, so first let's talk about MLO on the AP side. It's very simple. If you are an AP, you are most likely a multi-radio device, an MLD, multi-links. Sure, you could technically be single radio, but we're not going to talk about that. So if you're an AP, I like to consider myself in the shoes of an AP once in a while, more than one radio. Great. Then I ask myself, how do I know how MLO-y an AP is? Right? You rock up. You have the AP in the bag. That is not announced, so I can't talk about what's in there. How MLO-y is it? So that's the spec, but the short version is APs announce and say, hey, I have X number of links. And they set a value that is one less than the number of links. So if I'm an AP with 3 links, I'm going to say, hey, my max number of simultaneous links is 2. So just remember that one offset. It's the only thing you have to remember when you're looking at an AP. So, cool. Let's go PCAP this. Old school Cisco guy. I love sniffer mode. Still works. 9800 controller. Fire up sniffer mode. Stream it over to Wireshark. And let's have a look. Well, yep. In the common info, which a few people this week have been talking about, you will see maximum number of simultaneous links 2, which means I have 3 links. One thing to pay attention to, and I've had this conversation with a few people this week, this element does not sit in the extended capabilities tag. Like, it's not in operations, it's not in capabilities. Keep that in mind for just a few slides from now. So this is if you have 3 links, given where I work. Oh, by the way, yeah, given where I work, I was like, what if I'm an AP with 4 links? Again, pointing to that bag over there. So again, the number you have, add 1, you know the number of links when you're looking at an AP. Real simple. You should all go do it whenever you see an AP that claims it is Wi-Fi 7. No presentation at WLPC without a shout out to Adrian. Did the same in Wi-Fi Explorer Pro. Pulled up the element. You can add it as a column, MacBook, sniff, You can use WLAN-Pi, whatever, pull up the column, yep, maximum number of links. The next slide, and Keith is sitting here just a few feet from me, the next slide is by no means meant to be vendor bashing. It was just the only other AP I had available, and this was actually what happened, like sometime between Friday and Saturday on my second monster. It's like, wait a minute. There's no values. I was like, well, hang on. I looked in the PCAP, and yes, this is Ubiquiti TP, but this could also be any of the consumer, prosumer grade APs out there. We've seen a few this week. There's no multi-link element. So what can you conclude? That's not MLO. It's not doing MLO. Your laptop might say it's Wi-Fi 7. No MLO or a multi-link element, no MLO. To be fair, yes, it's running the official channel. Ubiquiti is putting it out in early release software. I checked the notes. We're all good there. But just as an example. So for APs, really simple. Use your favorite tool. Could be Wi-Fi Explorer Pro. Set your laptop to sniff. Use the WLAN-Pi. Check the maximum number of simultaneous links. Easy. Done. Just remember this. Okay, time for a quick security intermezzo. When you're going to run Wi-Fi 7, first of all, the AP, and again, I like to consider myself an AP sometimes, must advertise a new pairwise cipher. It's not required that the clients actually use it, but you have to advertise it. Also, if you're doing MLO, you need to use a new AKM. Think back to Stephen Orr's talk. He was talking about new AKMs. Go watch that talk. These two are a must. That's what the PCAP looked like. If you do not do this, well, first of all, you might get a visit from Stephen Orr telling you that you should. But more importantly, if you don't do this, you won't get MLO either. And I accidentally had misconfigured my controller to not advertise one of the two. No MLO. So security is not just driving we need more security, but security is also driving the underlying requirements for what we can enable in Wi-Fi. I would encourage everybody to go look at their wireless system and see, can I start advertising these ciphers even today on Wi-Fi 6 or 6E, right? Because have fun with older clients when they start seeing more than one AKM, or AKMs they don't know, or ciphers they don't know. Good clients should be fine. They'll say, I don't know about this, I'll just ignore it. Bad clients, who knows? Go start checking this now. You don't need necessarily Wi-Fi 7 AP to do this, right? Okay, also I was going to shout now to wake you all up, but I won't. And I believe the presenter before me also kind of called this out. Rule number 1, to use 6 gig, you need WPA3. We all know that by now. Rule 2, for an MLD, a multi-link situation, you need one AKM in common. So yes, even your 2.4 gigahertz, if you want to play along for MLO, needs to have at least one SSID with the modern AKMs shared. Start talking to customers. If you are a customer, start figuring out how you're going to do this. You may not buy Wi-Fi 7 right now, but eventually you're going to have to do this. And this takes time. Transition modes can bridge the gap. I know there's a lot of opinions here in the room about transition modes, but they can bridge the gap to get you onto a network where at least older clients can connect on something that's not WPA3. But there's a reason I put this big yellow exclamation mark. We did this in one of our buildings. And the IT team looked at me and they're like, what? When I explained what had to be done. They're like, well, we have an open SSID. It's like, great, time to move to transition mode or fully to OWE. That was a month worth of back and forth, finding bugs in some of the common clients out there that we, of course, have reported. Also, I have this slide called the dangers of WLPC. Now, I didn't originally have this, but I was sat over there earlier, and somebody pokes me in the side, goes, psst, hey, tell them about the roaming thing. It's like, okay, sure. Wi-Fi 6E, if you're using PSK, you probably have AKM 8, SAE PSK. I just told you that for Wi-Fi 7, you must use AKM 24. What happens if you're associated with an AKM 24? All your key exchange happened there, and you roam over to an AP that does not support it? We're doing some testing. You should too. Go test your devices now. See what happens. Because otherwise, I know it's always a joke. Should you salt and pepper APs? No, and this might be a very good reason for why you don't want to do that or have established roaming zones between your boundaries, right? Also, if anybody wants the photo of Steven, just let me know. So that's kind of end of our security intermezzo. So let's talk about clients. We're good. Windows 11, as of the 1st of October, that's what, 20 days ago, released 24H2 into the public. Don't even try to play with Wi-Fi 7 before that. It will tell you that it's Wi-Fi 7, and a few of you are nodding. Yeah, it won't do MLO. Sure, there are some patches, some registry hacks, whatever. Just don't bother with anything before this release. Chipsets, drivers, pretty good. Just make sure you update them. Android, bit of a mixed bag. You can read the slide here. S24s are good. iPhone, yay. Mac OS, let's see. But let's go a little deeper. What if you're on the client? Well, iPhones, this was kind of my slide. Go talk to Ben or Adrian. They know how to show information from iPhones. But I want to call out special honorable mention to Samsung here. They have a somewhat hidden tool called Connectivity Labs, and I'll show you in the next slide how to enable this. On it, you can actually see all of the link associations. You can see channel utilization across all the 3 bands. You can see the MAC addresses, like all of this geeky stuff we want and need, they display it. As a reference slide, this is how you unlock it. You can go watch the recording, but you have to 7-tap or 6-tap a hidden option. Just like developer options in Android, yeah, there's a Wi-Fi connectivity one. Amazing. And I wish more client vendors did this. What about Windows? Well, you can pull up your settings and you can see network band. Okay, I'm associated on 2 channels. Great, this is how we do MLO. Yes, we can do it from the CLI. I see Rasika's thinking, Nick, you're going fast through the slides. I am, but that's because I have PCAPs I want to get to. And you can go watch the recording of how to get this on your relative operating system. Again, if you don't see 2 channels, you're probably not running the version of Windows you should. Or the driver, or the security settings. Remember the slide with a few photos of Stephen Orr. And hey, check that your AP is actually doing MLO. I could have gotten gray hairs for all the times this did not work until I kind of figured this out. So, for an A, what's better, 2 or 3?
3.
It doesn't depend. $1 million, years in jail, 3. Anyways, you get the 5-hour energy for that answer.
Oh, I need this.
It's definitely legal in EU. So here's something fun I discovered. You go to Windows and you ask the driver, hey, how many MLO connections do you support? And clearly 3 is better than 2, right? But as you'll see in a moment, there's different implementations on different chipsets. We've talked about it a little bit, but these are the numbers the drivers report. Intel B says, yep, I can do 3. Qualcomm says, I can do 2. But that's not the full story, and let's look into why. So back to MLO on the client side. I think every presenter out there on MLO has had some version of this slide. I've tried to dumb it down because I like simple slides. Basically, all you need to care about if you're doing MLO is single radio or multi-radio. It's the first thing you ask yourself, and then you kind of figure the rest out. If you're single radio, there's a few operating modes: MLSR, multi-link single radio; EMLSR, enhanced multi-link single radio. Fun topics. Realistically, these on the right I don't even want to talk about. They're super cool. I don't think they're going to be implemented. I would love to see them be implemented from the clients, but they're super advanced. So let's focus on these on the left. MLSR, EMLSR, single radio. STR, multi-radio. Again, Nick's shortcut for this, just remember those 3 acronyms, forget the 2 on the right. So if we go back to the spec, this is basically what it says. If I'm a client, and I kind of paraphrase this, and I only have a single radio, I'll set a value in my association frames to 0. If I have multi-radio, it's greater than 1. Easy to remember. You just have to remember 0 or 1. For APs, you just need to remember 1 number. So let's PCAP this. What I did, because yes, I am lazy, used Meraki dashboard, intelligent capture, went to my AP, hit click, PCAP download, saves to the cloud. You can pull it off into Wireshark. It's a one-click button, just works. Here's a fun question. Hey, Rasika, if you're going to capture something, would you agree this is a decent way to go figure out what the MAC address of a device is and then apply a filter to that? Not sure he wants to answer. He's slightly nodding. You get the second 5-hour energy for that answer. For those of you who know the meme, things are changing. And again, this is one of those late-night, monster-fueled realizations. Nope. Just to go back here, Windows says, hey, your MAC address is E8. Add E8 in the filter. I want to look at associations. Nope. Why? Again, MLO. Upper layer MAC, lower layer MAC. You have your device MAC. You have your link MACs. What window shows you is the device MAC. You use that for a filter, you might not see what you're needing because, again, associations happen on the link. EB is the link MAC. MLD MAC is what Windows tells you. So, pro tip, go right away, add this to Wireshark. First of all, it makes it really easy to see when you have MLD associations because that value is filled out. But if you don't, you might not see your association request right away. And God forbid you use it as a capture filter, because then you definitely won't see this. Anyways, just a little pro tip here. You know how to do this. So, what did we see? Well, on an Intel BE200, as kind of expected, max number of simultaneous links, 0. It is a single radio device. Remember that? 0 equals single radio. We also see this element here. eMLSR support, meaning the client says upon association, hey, I can actually do eMLSR. Now, a quick note, eMLSR doesn't mean it's active, but we're not going to talk about it today. It just means, hey, I can do it. Again, Wireshark tip, go add this as a column. It's really helpful to when you're doing device profiling. Surface Pro, this is a Qualcomm chip, the new Windows ARM chips. Max number, 1, meaning multi-radio. Cool. However, notice this. There is no eMLSR support. We kind of expect this, though, because if you have more than one radio, why would you do eMLSR? Why do I call this out? Because there's a lot of people out there talking about what devices are and aren't. The only real source of truth right now is just go look at what the clients are doing. This might change tomorrow in a software update, but this is a pretty good indication that, hey, this is an STR device because it has more than one radio, and it can't do eMLSR. iPhone, everybody's favorite. Again, maximum number of simultaneous links, 1, so it is a multi-radio device. Cool. But wait, that's not eMLSR. I've seen multiple blogs out there calling up, yep, that's an eMLSR device. Maybe, I haven't seen it yet. It might depend on bandwidths. It might depend on how the SSIDs are set up. I would encourage everybody out here to go ahead and try it. Of course, if you have the new iPhone and a Wi-Fi 7 AP that's doing MLO, let the community know what you see. With my settings, I didn't see any support for eMLSR. It's probably just doing MLSR. Oh yeah, you can add this as a column and it's nice. Samsung S24, same kind of story, dual radio client. So out of the 4 clients I've tried, well, the Intel BE200 is the only eMLSR client. The rest are STR, multi-radio, which is pretty amazing. Finally, I wanted to show this. This was at the WLAN Pi deep dive, pulled up a Cisco Wi-Fi 7 AP. We let the WLAN Pis associate. This is what it looks like from Meraki dashboard. Get used to seeing a lot of MAC addresses in your tooling, because there sure is. And finally, just to summarize it, Wi-Fi 7 is actually here. But pay attention to the details. Go back, watch this talk on half speed. Probably the right speed to watch this at. Get your hands dirty. Start doing PCAPs. No, like, expand your toolkit to figure out how you deal with Wi-Fi 7. Took me a little while, and I know a lot of smart people within Cisco that I could ask for help, and get an answer in 20 minutes. SSID security is probably going to be the biggest challenge to get to Wi-Fi 7. Start planning now. It's going to be the biggest challenge you're going to need it. And with that, thank you.